I was watching the Notorious BIG documentary, and he talked about how he was like, people told me that like certain lyrics were either too intense or whatever on this album, but I'm just writing my truth. And I was like, oh, is it that simple? Like he's just writing his truth? He had a song called Ready to Die, which was about feeling suicidal. And I was like, okay, well, my truth right now is that I'm a big guy with a puppy.
School for the dogs. For the dogs. School.
A few weeks ago, our client Douglas Widick got in touch with me to ask if I could help him cast a video he was doing, a music video to go with a song he had just written. The song, he told me, was called Big Man, Tiny Dog. And I heard the song, I thought it was hilarious, just so witty and well written. And I said, of course, would be happy to help you. The music video and the song just dropped this week. You can find it on our Instagram at School for the Dogs. I'll also link to it in the show notes. The video features his dog, Skye, who has come to our puppy playtimes, as well as our Great Dane student, Bandit, who came to us when he was just a tiny Great Dane pup, if there is such a thing, and Ripley, who is a Cairn Terrier puppy. Her owners actually started coming to us with their late dog, Maggie, also a Scottie, back when we were on our East 2nd Street studio. After chatting a little bit with Doug, I was really curious to learn more about him, so I asked him if he would come on the podcast for the Best Pet Ever series. He agreed, and you're about to hear our conversation, and he also composed a jingle for this series. So much thanks to his Sweet Tea studio in Brooklyn for what you are about to hear.
Can you hear her chewing in the background?
What is she chewing?
It's a pork knuckle. It's a big bone. Should I move her upstairs?
No. It sounds fine. Douglas Widick, so glad to have you here. As a dog owner, as a client, as an artist, as a comedian, as someone who I am curious to learn more about. Douglas, why don't you introduce yourself, and then maybe you can tell us a few words about Skye, your pup.
Yeah, surely. So, hi, I'm Doug. I go by Douglas Widick professionally. And I'm a musical comedian based in Brooklyn, New York. I also produce music and mix music on the side and produce a show called North Coast that I also perform in. I'm a co-founding member of North Coast. We've been around in this city for almost 13 years, and we do hip-hop improv comedy. But I also release musical sketch comedy all the time, and I've been doing that for 10 years. And I was a performer at Upright Citizens Brigade before it closed, and I was a performer at the Pit before their 24th Street location closed, and now North Coast performs at the Asylum once a month. Super fun stuff. So yeah, that's my main stuff. Is I do musical comedy, hip hop, improv, and I also I do a show with one of the Real Housewives called Sonia in Your City.
I feel like I would like us to be friends.
We should be friends, especially after how silly and jaunty your little walk was on that Instagram reel. I was LOLing for the rest of the day.
It's funny because it made me laugh too, because it was like me at my goofiest.
Yeah.
For those listening, he's referring to a little reel I did where I'm wearing this big black poofy jacket, and I'm walking my dog, and I have a bright yellow leash tied around my waist, and and I was just walking very seriously and with funny music, telling people
It
they
cracked
should
me
get.
up, and I started tying her leash to the fanny pack, which totally opened me up for better, training while we walk, and I have more control now, so it's
Isn't it
great.
such a game changer? It's
Game
such a.
changer.
I forget sometimes to hook my dog around my leash. I mean, hook the leash around my waist, and then
Hmm.
suddenly I remember, and it feels like I just. I mean, you do get another hand.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
I
I
love it.
love that you're a musical comedian. Is that something when you were growing up? I mean, I love it because, as regular listeners to this podcast might know, I love movie musicals in
Oh,
particular,
okay.
and I also love like silly songs.
Yeah.
I was really into Tom Lehrer when I was a kid.
Tom Lehrer. I feel like I heard some Tom Lehrer.
Oh,
Was he doing like stand up mixed with music?
I mean, he's like from the gosh, I don't know, 50s maybe. I actually sang in a recital once one of his tunes. I'm going to sing it for you right now, a little bit of it.
All right, here we go.
All the world seems in tune on a spring afternoon when we're poisoning pigeons in the park. Every Sunday you'll see my sweetheart and me as we poison the pigeons in the park. When they see us coming, the birdies all try and hide, but they still go for peanuts when coated with cyanide.
Oh my gosh.
He did
Yeah.
he did the Element song. You never heard
Okay.
that one?
Well, I've definitely heard poisoning pigeons in the park. That's fantastic.
With like Weird Al, someone you were into? Like I don't know. How do you decide that's what you want to do when you grow up?
Right. Yeah. Well, it was a very natural process. I was obsessed with musical comedy growing up, but I didn't fully make the decision until later. So I studied guitar very diligently from the ages of like 7 till 17. Then I, at the same time, was obsessed with Tenacious D. I loved Weird Al, Adam Sandler's comedy albums. Pretty much anytime someone would mix music and comedy, I would go, "Ooh, I like that." When Jimmy Fallon got on SNL, my mind was blown. Lonely Island was an obsession, and so I always wanted to mix the two. And when I started studying sketch comedy at UCB, I was like, oh, maybe this will be something that can help me carve out a niche for myself. Instead of just being like another white dude doing comedy, maybe I can be musical, and that'll help me be different and also original in certain ways. And I think I have something to contribute musically as well. So I got really into freestyling, and North Coast got founded when I was very young, my hip hop improv group. Yeah, I guess the decision really did happen more as I got obsessed with UCB when I was younger. And have you ever been to UCB, Annie?
Yeah, yeah. We actually used to be located on East Second and Avenue A, so
Okay.
right around the corner.
Okay, yeah, so you were right by the Beast. That's what they called that one.
Oh, okay.
The UCB East the Beast. And so I think that the thing that fully hammered it was I was a member of a sketch group with a bunch of folks that are actually crushing it in entertainment now. Bowen Yang, Matt Rogers, Sudie Green, Tessa Scara, and we were called Pop Roulette. And we did musical sketch comedy. And that's when I was like, oh, okay, I think this is like what I do is musical comedy. That's when it like fully hammered home when I was like 22 or 23.
That's so cool. All right. Now, how does dogs factor into any of that?
All right, it's a dogs podcast. So I so I had my first Scottie when I was 4 years old, and her name was Kelly, and I fell madly in love with Scottish terriers. And I don't know what it is, but once people find their breed or their type or
Well, your
of
your
dog.
parents must have picked out Kelly.
Yeah, they picked out Kelly. My aunt had a litter of Scotties, and we just fell in love with her. She was the runt of the litter, and we knew nothing. I mean, we knew nothing. She tore up our house as she was teething. We didn't know crate training. We were just learning as we went along. And Kelly, for that reason, was a saint because as she got older, she chilled out. But when she was a puppy, she must have been extremely confused about us and how we were raising her. She was probably like, I don't know where my home is in the home, because we just let her sleep wherever because we didn't know. And then as we got smarter and more savvy and learned more, um, after Kelly passed, we got more Scotties, and we were madly in love with that group. That was the Maggie, Cody, and Brooklyn that were their names. And Maggie was just all sweetness. Cody was like extremely regal. He kind of looked like Teddy Roosevelt. And Brooklyn was another like slightly runtish little cutie.
Aw,
And
and
yeah.
you had three at the same time?
At one point, we actually had 4 terriers in the house. We had a
Wow.
Westie at one
And
point.
you said
Yeah.
your family's in Florida?
South Florida. So we had a nice big lawn for them all to run around on and play.
So a 3-dog household for a New Yorker sounds like a lot.
It would be, I think having one dog in New York has tested me to my very core. And so I think that having a bunch of dogs here, if I didn't, since I'm a solo dog parent, I would need like even more help if I had more dogs here. I do have a backyard though, which is a game changer. And I'm getting some AstroTurf, like pet run put
Mm-hmm.
in next week. So that's going to be a game changer too, because she's always chewing on the mulch and it scares the crap out of me.
Oh yeah, that's you're living the dream, and that's actually very smart to get the fake stuff.
Yeah, it'll be good for my mental health.
Well, because sometimes, yeah, some dogs eating the stuff that blows into the yards, especially in New York City, can make them sick.
Yeah, there's
Um,
random junk all the time. I pretty
mhm.
much have to watch her like a hawk back there. She also digs holes, and my roommate gardens, so there's some issues with that. He'll be like, so I have these plants that are actually seasonal, and your dog just dug a big hole and ruined one of them. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Um,
I mean, like, this is what she was meant to do in the world, actually. But
yeah, he's looking for
have you
vermin.
tried the iDig?
Oh, right. There's like scratch stuff, right? Or I haven't seen
Mm-hmm.
my dig.
iDig is a cool product. It is basically like a pit that they can dig stuff out of.
Ooh, I'm looking at it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you could also try. Well, I what else could you try? I mean, you could like put stuff in a box and just like with the towels, like layers of towels and stuff, treats and towels and treats, and just let her get like old towels. I mean, not like good towels.
Yeah.
Rags. But yeah, terriers love to pull stuff apart. So we call it a destructiball when you can like wrap treats around, um, wrap rags around treats and then stuff the little wrapped treats into like one of those open balls, a holy roller they're called. Anyway, I'm just giving you ideas that
Okay.
make her dig a little bit less,
I love that.
um
Thank you
but
so
yeah, it's
much.
a lot. It's 3 dogs in New York City is different than 3 dogs in Florida with a yard. um
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, I would have to have daily, because I have caretakers come in twice a week right now on a recurring schedule. When I'm like out and about, like when I'm like either at the gym or stuff, like I don't want her home for too long without being let out, and so I would have to have even more kind of reoccurring help.
yeah.
Yeah.
uh so how did your current cutie Skye come into your life?
So Skye is super dreamy. I it had been 2 years since we lost our final Scottie, Maggie. She lived till 14. I think actually third, like deep into 13, but we kept seeing Scottish Terriers in the clouds after we lost Maggie. And it was just so hard because, yes, there's this newfound flexibility where you can travel without worrying about your dog, or you can just leave the house and not be thinking. But we missed our Scotties so much. We're just a Scottie family. So it had been a little too long. We were starting to get that itch, and I was even emailing some of the rescue centers in New York, like, can I come walk some dogs, please? Like, I just wanted to be around them, and it was also coinciding with like a kind of challenging personal time for me. And so my mom did a little research and found a litter of terrier Scotties near my uncle in Plano. And I was like, well, that's a great excuse to visit my uncle. And so I went and picked her up in Dallas. And it was the head of the Scottish Terrier Association in Dallas. And she was a wonderful, wonderful woman. And she gave me all sorts of advice and stuff about the breed, and just super, super conscientious, wonderful person. And I flew her back to Brooklyn a day later. And she ran directly towards me out of the whole litter. She was the first one that ran towards me. And I've learned so much more raising her solo than when I was in high school and college with the Scotties, because there's no safety net. It's me. I'm the person training Skye. I'm the person raising Skye. It's not like I can ever be like, I'm doing homework. Here you go, mom. Here's the dog. And so this process has taught me so much about animals and so much about pet parenting that I'm very grateful for. So it's definitely been a journey with little Miss Skye. She's been on 5 flights and she's not even 1 years old yet.
You've been to puppy playtimes at School for the Dogs, is that right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So fantastic. So I was keenly aware that she needed to start getting socialized, especially during the critical window. And she was super feisty. She was chewing on my shoes and ankles and stuff in the mornings. And I was like, okay, we need some bite inhibition here ASAP. um, and so she played with a bunch of dogs at School for the Dogs. And Adam was just phenomenal. Shout outs to Adam Davis. Um,
How did you remind me how you found us again?
Oh, I found you through my vet.
Were you
Um,
asking your vet specifically for playtime recommendations or?
I was looking for playtime. I was looking for training, and the first business card. There was a couple that she handed me, but the first business card and highest recommended was y'all.
What would you describe the puppy playtimes you came to? How would you describe it to someone who has no idea what a School for the Dogs puppy
Yeah.
playtime looks like?
Well, it's a beautifully controlled atmosphere with an extremely highly knowledgeable person running it. And that person's not only managing the dogs, but they're managing the owners and educating the owners all at the same time. So I learned about meta signals, displacement signals. I keenly watch my dog's behavior when she's interacting with other dogs so much differently now
Mm-hmm.
after those sessions. And so when I do puppy play dates in my neighborhood now, which I'm very lucky to be able to hold in my backyard,
Mm-hmm.
there's a Pomeranian and there's a golden that Skye plays with a lot. I'm very, very, very aware of when things are going well, and then I'm very aware if things are about to go south or if they need a break or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that. So School for the Dogs was able to educate while also helping Skye get that valuable socialization
Yeah,
in.
I think that really is what's so special about our puppy playtimes is that they're really classes. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
not just dump your dogs here, everybody sit on the perimeter and watch what happens. There's
Yeah.
actually like a professional trainer there who is helping you figure out what is and isn't okay, what to be looking for. And so, even if, like, exactly like you said, like, even if someone, because some people balk at the price,
Mm-hmm.
it's $40 for a half hour, which I mean, in New York City, it feels like everything's becoming so expensive that it
Yeah.
doesn't. Sorry to
That's
say,
you and a friend for cocktails.
right?
And
Yeah,
yeah,
it's sad but true.
it's madness. The inflation
Um,
is madness.
but what you're getting is really, you know, half an hour of time with a trainer who is going to make you a better informed referee when you go into situations with your dog after this, and
Yeah.
you will learn things that you will now go and meet people who've had dogs and have no clue about. You're going to now see things happening in play from having attended these these sessions where you're going to be like, oh gosh, like, do I tell them that maybe their dog is feeling uncomfortable?
Yeah, I
Like,
actually have to manage that because, you never want to be seen as helicoptering or policing other people's dogs. But
mm-hmm.
if it affects my dog, then I'm going to. I
Right.
don't care.
Right, which is why I think it's it's the another benefit of having someone in charge, in our case a trainer,
Mhm.
at these sessions. It's because at the dog park no one is allowed to pipe up and say I know what's what.
Right.
But it even sounds like, you said you're quote unquote running puppy playtimes in your yard. Maybe it's just your friends, but still it sounds like you're the one who is having people over and kind of mediating it, and that's really smart if you're with people who are willing to listen to you and follow kind of your lead and not interject with possibly misguided information about how they're going to work it out on their own.
Totally. Yeah.
Did she meet some good friends? Is she at puppy
She
playtime?
Yeah, she met. So the most successful interaction was with a German Shepherd, that because Skye's super feisty. Scotties are just they and basically insatiable. Like the 30 minutes was far too short for Skye in terms of her, like, I mean, who knows if the play would have devolved after that or whatever. But she was like, "Wait, it's over?" every single time.
Aw,
Um,
yeah.
but she found a German Shepherd that they played so well together, and there was lots of short pins, lots of quick bites that were just like a test, and that I have footage from that I still watch to this day because she's about half
Aw.
the size as she is now.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 30 minutes, it's the ideal time for what we do, but I think that like, I know my dog, Poppy, she really needs like an hour with the dog for a good playtime, because at least,
Mhm.
because like I feel like it could take her 45 minutes to start feeling comfortable around that other dog and sort of relax into it. So
Does
um
Poppy need to be eased in to the play?
she needs to be eased into most things, and then she's really into it. Um,
Nice.
that's how I would put it. But yeah, she
Yeah.
plays really nicely when she does. Maybe Skye can have a play date. Are you in Brooklyn? How old is she now?
6 months.
Aw.
Yeah.
So part of the reason I wanted to have you on was to talk about your hilarious new song, um, which I was laughing out loud when I heard it. It is called "Big Man, Tiny Dog."
I see a lot of men in Brooklyn with their big ass pooches. You think your dog's an SUV? Bro, you just look stupid. You ain't looking so tough, Chad. Quit your weak ass whining. It's time to be a real man and get a dog that is tiny. Big man, tiny dog. That's the way to look tough. I'd rather yip, yip, yip than a rough, rough, rough. You show your dog off like a truck. That's enough. Capiche? I prefer a snug VW bug on a 3-foot leash. Big man, tiny dog. Big man, tiny dog. Don't need a man-sized dog, I got a little Lincoln log. Got my posse of potatoes straight up barking at a leaf. You can keep your St. Bernard with my Scottie, I roll deep. I don't need a Rottweiler or a Great Dane. Give me a Yorkiepoo with a tiny frame. No Pyrenees with a fluffy coat. Give me a Bichon Frise that looks like a toad. Yo lady, your Bernie's mountain dog looks like a Muppet got lost in the rain. I prefer Toto, bopping like Frodo with Dorothy. That doggy, he's off of the chain. For your Bordeaux, you need a lead leash. I use a shoelace from a Maltese. When your dog barks, it's scary as hell. My dog can't bark and it wears a tiny bell. Jason Momoa with a Chihuahua. The Rock with a Terrier saying Ohana. Your dog's scaring children, it's looking so mean. I'm out in the park and I'm benching 15. Woof. Woof. I can carry my dog in my arms. You got a puppy the size of a barn. You're fitting one dog in your bed? I'm fitting 10 dogs in my bed. Big man, tiny dog. Big man, tiny dog. Don't have a baby, so I got a dog the size of a hog. Don't need a giant ass pooch to make me feel like a man. So I got a tiny little floofer the size of a soda can. Big man, tiny dog. Big man, tiny dog. She's allowed to fly with me in the fuselage. Your dog's so big you have to pay to check it with the luggage. I lose my dog regularly in foliage and roughage. I'm just fucking around. I love all dogs, even big ones. Just not as much. Alright. Get your pets spayed
My
and
favorite line, I
neutered.
think, is, "You can fit one dog in your bed. I can fit 10 dogs in my bed."
Oh my gosh. And that's based in truth. We used to have the Scotties sleep in our bed back in the day. We had like 3 or 4 dogs in the bed one time. Ridiculous.
It's a really funny song.
Oh, thank you.
Now you're shooting a video to go with this hilarious song, and
Uh-huh.
you're having some of the breeds, and some of those breeds I think are people you met through the School for the Dogs. Did some people
Mhm.
contact you through our newsletter, or was it from me saying, hey, contact this guy?
Yeah, we got like 4 emails from your newsletter.
Oh, wow, great.
Yeah, so that was fantastic. And we've been emailing with some of those folks. And there was also like a Brussels Griffin Facebook group that got wind of the video. And we ended up getting like 4 Brussels Griffins at once one day.
Oh, is that part in the song? I don't remember.
No, but they're a small dog. And so it actually will help us heighten because if it's like we're hitting jokes that aren't in the lyrics during the chorus when I'm just repeating big man, tiny dog, we can heighten by adding a Brussels Griffin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, playing against the lyric a little bit, which could be satisfying only if it's later and you're like craving something fresh. So so we're gonna do like a mix of some of the Fish Island stuff that they used to do in early 2000s hip hop videos. So like if you think about Busta Rhymes, Give Me Some More, there's gonna be a lot of that with in exterior shots at Sternberg Park where I'm getting up in the camera, and it's like that's gonna be more during the part where I'm aggressive to the guy Chad with his big dog. So it'll be like, I see a lot of men in Brooklyn, like really close up. And then later there's gonna be a lot of portraits with big men and tiny dogs. So it'll be like big man, hand down, tiny dog. And it'll just be like contrast, 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 like just hitting that contrast over and over again. And hopefully that'll be comedic fodder.
Yeah, I see a big man, tiny dog calendar could be a thing.
Ooh, I like that idea. See, you're an entrepreneur, Annie, and I love that. You're 2 steps ahead of me, so I need to do that.
I mean, how do you judge big? I guess it depends on how small the dog is.
Yeah, I think that, we're shooting for dogs that are like 20 pounds and under.
Mm-hmm.
And the men, either tall or just, larger men. But like any guy who's like 5'8" and under probably wouldn't work for this. And so I'm casting a very kind of like cool bro looking dude for the Chad role.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I do, it's like even when I was on vacation recently, like I meet people who like almost use their dog as like an extent. It's like a pair of sneakers to them. It's like, yo, look at my dog, look how cool I am. And it's like, no, the dog's not an accessory. Like it's an animal. Like I don't know, and it just cracks me up that they use it as like a pair of Adidas. It's like, look at my giant mean looking dog. It's like, first off, it doesn't need to like have that crazy leash you have on it. Second off, like don't like,
What do you mean crazy leash?
oh, like the metal ones that you see, the
Oh,
ones that
okay.
choke and stuff.
Okay.
Um, and so you see people who are sort of like walking with it, like, hey, don't get near me. Look how tough I am with my dog, and it's just like it doesn't. I don't think it has to be that way. I think it can be more of a companion thing.
It's so interesting because on the one hand, your song seems kind of like it's, having a tiny dog. Tiny dogs are often thought of as accessories,
Mm-hmm.
pocketbook dogs, the
Mm-hmm.
teacups, the dogs that people think don't need training because they're just meant to sit on your lap. But actually, you're saying the song is kind of against an approach to pet ownership that is not about your pet's best interest necessarily, but more about using your pet to accentuate certain features of yourself.
Yeah, I think I couldn't have put it better myself. And
Huh.
I sort of like when I was on a vacation, like one of the tour guides had like a bunch of the same breed that he was like, they were like getting in fights, and he like showed me photos, and I was just like, this isn't cool, like that you're telling me this. Um, and I don't want to know that your dog's got in a big crazy fight and that you're like, I don't know. I think that you could be right that I'm playing the same card they're playing, but with the tiny dog. But my card is more ridiculous, and so I'm gonna self-own my ridiculous card of me being a big man with a little yip yip dog.
Well,
Um,
I would say that you could have a big dog or a small dog and approach being uh, the owner, parent, guardian, whatever word you want to use
yeah.
to that dog, uh, in a certain way that is really about enjoying giving that animal a good life
Hmm.
within the environment that you live, let's say. And
Yeah.
if you're truly doing that, it doesn't, the weight of your dog, the size of the dog, even the breed of your dog doesn't matter that much. But what you're saying is you're mocking. I think if I had to deconstruct it, you're mocking the other extreme of pet ownership by specifically pointing out like the big dudes who have their like dog version of their midlife crisis car
Yep. Yeah.
and what that means.
Sometimes it's not even that big of dudes. Sometimes it's like dudes who are like, don't look at me because I'm, maybe there's like a Napoleonic thing or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, look at this giant dog instead of me or whatever.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like I live in an area where I almost only see just like doodles. I'm looking out the I'm looking out the window
Even Park
now.
Slope.
I can see like 4 different doodle type dogs.
Oh my God.
So
The amount of golden doodles on the street is absolutely fascinating to me. I see mini Aussies all the time.
yeah, we have a lot of mini Aussies, but probably doodle bait. I haven't looked at the stats, but I would say the majority of our clients are probably some kind of poodle mix. And
Wow.
then we also have a lot of Frenchies.
Yeah.
And then of course we have a lot of Heinz 57 type rescue dogs like my dog.
Fun
Um,
time.
but and I love the Toto reference also in the song.
Thank you. We're gonna use that Karen you recommended for it for that
Oh,
show.
excellent. Ripley,
Yeah.
who his people had actually it's a girl. Ripley's owners had they used to have Maggie May, who was a Scottie.
Oh my goodness. I think, you know what?
Yes.
I think they mentioned that in the email and I forgot. Yeah.
I have recently rewatched The Wizard of Oz 7 times
Hmm.
because I have a 3-year-old. But every time I see it, I'm reminded that it's really a story of a family in need of a dog trainer because it starts out with Toto going after the mean Miss Gulch,
Right.
and then Miss Gulch says she's going to take Toto, and then she takes Toto away in the basket, and
Oh my
Dorothy gets all upset, and then
God.
Toto
Right.
runs back, and then so the whole story, and then that plot line kind of gets lost from there, but then
Right.
it
All they
goes,
needed to do was cue it down, and the whole
yeah.
thing wouldn't have happened.
All they needed was to put up an X pen.
Exactly.
Um, there's no song about that yet. Um, but yeah, so and my dad always used to call my little Yorkiepoo Amos, who was the love of my life.
Aw.
My dad used to always say, "How is Toto?"
Oh,
So
that's funny.
made me think of that too.
I've
Um,
found that most people don't know Toto was a Cairn Terrier. Most people think Toto was either a Scottie or some other, I think a Yorkshire Terrier. Is
oh,
that the
huh.
one? I don't
Yeah,
know.
Karens are not that well known.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm trying to think of the other lyrics that really my dog wears a bell.
Yeah, she does. Skye does wear a bell.
Really?
Yeah, she has a little plaid collar and it has a tiny bell on it. That's where I got the lyric from. So she kind of jingles into the room. But don't worry, I use a harness when we're outside. It's too risky. But yeah, no, and like she barks, but it's more of a yip. Like a lot of this is based in truth. A lot of
Yeah.
these lyrics are very much reveals.
So, I'm wondering if you're going to continue in this direction and what your next pet related song is going to be.
That's such a great question. Oh man. I'll have to think about it. I definitely have a couple very, very humiliating songs I sing directly to Skye, but potentially after a glass of wine, where it's just me and her, and I sing to her songs about her. So those are some that might not make the album.
Oh, give me,
But
give me, give me a tiny taste of one.
all right, so this song I sing to Skye all the time. I go, I used to be a wolf, but now I'm a baby, a beautiful baby dog. And I sing that all the time to her.
I love it. That you got to do more. You got
Thank
to
you.
do
Maybe I'll make a
more.
whole Pet Sounds album, but it'll be Pet
Yeah,
songs.
pet sounds.
Yeah. I also neglected to mention my brother is an animal trainer. He
Oh,
worked for years with marine mammals, rehabilitated ones, and
oh.
he inspired like a lot of my training journey.
Where does he train now, or what does he train?
So he's raising his daughter now, and his partner still works with the rehabilitated marine life, but he has a beautiful 13-year-old German Shepherd, which is nearing the end of her days, who is immaculately trained and inspired me trying to get my crap together with Skye.
Marine mammal training. There is a place where you cannot use choke collars.
No aversives with a dolphin.
No.
No. It's all just, capture it. And they have these little whistles that are extremely high frequency.
Yeah.
It's amazing stuff.
Um, although you know how they often reward the male dolphins is with access to female dolphins, which is not a training technique we tend to use with the dogs.
No, I would say no. And the dolphins are just reckless. It's like Berlin. They're just they go ham every day.
So have
Um,
you gotten to swim with dolphins?
I have had interactions with dolphins. I have not been in the water
Mm.
since I was very little with a dolphin. I swam in the Bahamas with wild and domesticated dolphins when I was little. Um, the wild ones are super
Wow.
fun when you're like snorkeling and they just come up to you and they're just like, "Sup? What's up, bro?"
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. We had like those. Have you ever seen those little jets that you hold as you're snorkeling, so you can like go down close to the reef and then go back up?
No, no.
They're like these little propeller things that help you like keep it moving while you're snorkeling. And the dolphins, they were just like whirling around us. It's definitely beautiful experience.
Wow, you make Florida sound like an appealing place.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Besides the anti-vax and the anti-mask and the chaos and the weapons everyone's carrying, besides all that, Florida's pretty great.
And the dudes with their dogs trying to make the dogs make them look tough.
Yep, exactly.
Except for
People
those
rolling
guys.
deep with their guard dogs. I don't want to call out any breeds
Yeah,
specifically
but
because
yeah, but the
everyone's
truth
back.
is you don't have to go to Florida to find that. You can find that
Oh,
in.
it's down the block for me. I see it all the time. And don't get me started on the people who don't think they need leashes in my neighborhood. It absolutely drives me up the wall.
Yep. I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Well, Doug, it has been so fun to talk to you. One thing I wanted to ask you about was you had mentioned to me that you recently did some how should we put it dog volunteer tourism.
So I went to Maui for 6 days alone. So it was like my own personal forgetting Sarah Marshall trip, but without any Mila Kunis hotness or any steamy Eat, Pray, Love vibes. It was just me, surfing lessons, and a helicopter tour. And but I decided I was like, I miss Skye. I'm gonna go find a way to see a dog or two while I'm here. And so the Maui Humane Society, woo woo, they have this thing called Beach Buddies, where you can day foster from 11 to 4 a dog and take it to the beach and give it
Aww.
enrichment. So I spent the day with Gus, and Gus was a gorgeous herding dog mix. And it was a magical dog experience, but all the way far off in a tropical paradise.
Aww. And
Yeah.
you weren't compelled to bring Gus home?
I was, but the logistics scared me of flying that far. with
Yeah.
Gus. I really was. I actually have checked in twice, and they're just so busy there. They haven't gotten back to me.
That's such a neat thing that they do.
It's super neat.
How big was Gus?
Gus was like 40 pounds or 50 pounds, like definitely mostly border collie, wicked smart, had already been trained by somebody. I think the owner got sick, the parent or the owner got sick. And so Gus was 6 years old, super, super well behaved dog.
What's the wisest thing your brother has told you about animal
Oh my
training?
gosh, you're going to love this, hopefully. You need to set your dog up for success. Like it all comes back to that. He was like, if you set them up for success, then like you're doing way more than so many other pet guardians.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what I generally call like management, like creating the situation where you're going to get what you want.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you control like the outlines of your dog's life by and large.
Yeah. And yeah, that's beautiful. And like one of my big revelations lately has been like finding ways to use things that aren't just treats as rewards, like the walk itself, like sniffs, like hey, go take a sniff of that thing. But instead, I'll be like, make sure she checks in with me, then click, and then you get to go sniff that, so that it's maintaining the connection with her on the walk. Things like that have been big breakthroughs for me lately.
You can learn more about Douglas and his group North Coast and his production company, Sweet Tea Studios, that created our new Best Pets Ever jingle at douglaswidick.com. Visit us on Instagram to see Big Man Tiny Dog. I'm also linking to it in the show notes. Lastly, a reminder that for podcast listeners, we have a special we're running right now where you can get a 90-minute private virtual session with a School for the Dogs trainer for free when you purchase our Good Dog Training and our Dog Training in 21 Days on-demand courses. Get it through the end of this month at schoolforthedogs.com/virtual bundle.